Hi there. So today I wanted to give you a way into something which seems a very intimidating subject at first, which is the Mick Goodrick voice leading cycles, which are introduced in the Mick Goodrick voice leading Almanacs. These legendary tomes are obviously the product of Mick Goodrick's teaching, and Mick Goodrick unfortunately passed away earlier this year. He was an extremely important jazz guitarist and jazz educator, and the list of his students looked something like this. He basically wrote the Berklee syllabus, as far as I know, and produced excellent books, including The Advancing Guitarist, which I've talked about a lot on this channel, and also these voice leading almanacs, which I'll talk about in a minute. If you want to listen to his playing, and I really advise you listening to his playing because he was a real trailblazer, actually, in a sort of very quiet, very tasteful way, I would check out his recording for ECM In Passing, which I think is John Sermon on saxophone, and it's full of his compositions and his beautiful sort of liquid playing. Friends and students of his have been working very hard to make sure that his teaching carries on. Towards that end, there's a great website now called Modern Guitar Harmony, which you should check out. It has all of Mick Goodrick's voice leading almanacs on there. They're extremely intimidating. I think the first time I came across them, I couldn't work on them for any extended period of time, but hopefully this will give you a way in. The voice leading almanacs are a series of 3 books, mostly concerned with moving chord roots through intervals and then voice leading the result. This might be familiar, this concept might be vaguely familiar from, for instance, fourthwise chord progressions or back cycling chord progressions. I've done a video about these, which in Mick Goodrick's terminology would be cycle fourths, with jumping by fourths. And so on, right? Cycle 2 would simply be a scale, and that's where we're going to start. So it's C major 7th, G minor 7th. We're just moving a scale of standard drop 2 root position grips through a C major scale. And it goes C major 7th, minor 7th, minor 7th, major 7th, dominant 7th, minor 7th, half diminished, minor 7 flat 5, major 7th again, right? So hopefully that's reasonably familiar. If it's not, you might struggle with this video. Now, cycle 3 could be moving up by thirds, like this. Now you notice I'm moving up and down the neck a bit to compensate for the fact that I don't have tiny little fingers that can go all the way up the neck. As we get to the intervals that are larger than 4, we just do a reverse of the other one. So, for instance, cycle 7 is a reverse of cycle 2. We just, we're going up a 7th, C, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we are. B, that's a 7th. So we're just going from C to B. Cycle 6 is a reverse of cycle 3. Like that, right? And cycle 5 is a reverse of cycle 4. The cycle of fifths going the other way. Okay, so if we understand that, then we at least have a ground plan of how the cycles work. Now, what I'm going to teach you today is simply how to voice lead a C major scale in this way using cycle 6 with triads and 7th chords. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's the simplest one. It's not the first one in the book, but I'm taking this idea from David Lee, who's a good friend and a student of Mick Goodrick, and he suggests working on this because it's a great way of learning your scales and getting used to all the different voicings and inversions that you're going to come across for any of the other cycles. So hopefully this will be a gateway into it and make it a little bit less forbidding if you've never done this kind of work before. So we're going to start with the cycle 6, which sounds beautiful actually, and we're going to do triads. So we're going to start with a simple C major triad like this, or maybe like this. Let's do this one. And very simply, you're just going to move the top note up by a diatonic step in C major, and then the middle one, and then the bottom one, like that. So we've got a root position triad. This is C major. This is the first inversion triad. This is the second version triad. This is back to root again. So that's the pattern. And then we're going to go down here, yeah, and all the way through the scale up. So, root, first, second, root, first, second, root, first, second, and then root, first, second, root, first, second, root, first, second, and then root. This is a diminished, so it's a bit strange looking. Root, first, and then second, and then root. Okay, and that's the pattern. Sounds pretty nice, right? We're going to do it in another string group now. We're just going to do it down here. C major again. Top, first inversion. Middle, second inversion. Bottom, root position. Going all the way up. Up to the top, right? Okay. But one important thing to bear in mind is that we have to understand the unitar, which means, as Mick Goodrick called it, the unitar being the scale, or being able to play the guitar along one string like that. Understanding where all the notes of C major are. That's an important thing that we both need to know, but also kind of learn by doing this exercise. And if you hit a few clams and wrong chords on the way, that's part of the learning process. But you'll learn how to find these notes on the fretboard. And there might be a little bit of trial and error involved at the start, that's fine. But as you do it more and more, you'll get used to it. But it's a really beautiful exercise for learning the scale. Once we've done that, we can start to think about naming the chords, which is kind of important because we want to understand something about what we're actually doing here. This is a C major chord. This is cycle 6. We're going down to A minor, then down another third, F major. So remember, a cycle 6 is like a cycle 3 in reverse. We're going down the thirds each time. C major, A minor, F, D minor, B diminished, G, E minor, C. Now we go back to C and you'll notice that this chord is not actually in root position. So this means we're not back to the top of the cycle yet, even though we're back to the C chord. We've got to keep going. And in fact, if we go through the entire cycle, it'll take us through every inversion of every chord. So it's kind of useful for learning your chords. And by naming them, we get an idea of which chords they are. In fact, we can also sing the roots as well. C, A minor, F, D minor, B diminished, G major, E minor, and then we're back to C again. C, but this time we're in second inversion. If you want to get involved with these lovely spread or open voiced triads, sound beautiful on the guitar, make everything sound like Eric Johnson. We can do the same thing, but we've got to understand that the pattern of the movement of the notes within the chords is going to be different. Now we're moving the middle one first, then the top one, because it's a different voicing. Okay? Some funny fingerings might come up. I always find out with spread triads. Sometimes, do I go to that one or do I go to that one, for instance? And then to the next one. But that's kind of a funny way of playing that. Okay? Same notes, different fingering. And then, you can move string group if you want. It's not against the rules. Oh, hello. That's a hard one to finger like that. You might even want to sing these. So, C, A, F, D, B, G, E, C. So this is great practice anyway. Now we can just move on quickly to 7th chords. So the thing about 7th chords, they work slightly differently. The notes go down. We're just going to do C major again, and we're going to do them on drop 2s because it's probably the most familiar voicings that most guitarists know on the guitar. But eventually you're going to do them on all the drops and all different scales. We're just doing C major for today. Different keys, different scales, different drops, voicings when you've got this under your fingers. Start with C. A minor 7. So we're dropping the middle note, or the alto if you like, so the one from the second one from the top. and then we're dropping the tenor, then we're dropping the soprano, ends it up like that. So let's talk you through the pattern again. Alto, tenor, soprano, bass, alto, tenor, soprano, bass. Okay. Let's do it here as well. Alto, tenor, soprano, bass, alto, tenor, soprano, bass, alto, tenor, it's that note, soprano, and then bass, alto. Okay, sounds beautiful, right? You'll notice that we've still got this kind of crawling movement, but instead of going this way, up the neck, or we're going downwards. Lost the order. If not simple, it's at least, only one note at a time to worry about, and maybe that'll be a bit easier than jumping straight in with the almanacs and getting really, really intimidated by all of that. Thanks for watching. I hope you find that useful.